This is meteorologist Marcus Bailey. Good to be with you here. It is August 11th, 2025. Did want to give you an update in the tropics. As of 10 o'clock Eastern time this morning, we have a new named storm. This is Erin, a tropical storm, the fifth named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, just issued at 10 o'clock this morning and continuing to intensify in the eastern Atlantic. So that is the last loop over the last several hours here, last couple of hours in the eastern Atlantic. Starting to see some organization here. The latest stats on Erin here. We'll flip over, and this is as of the latest update. Now a tropical storm, and max winds are at 47 miles per hour. All right, so not super strong, not highly organized just yet. It's moving west at around 10 miles per hour. You can see the forecast cone. Now, that's the official National Hurricane Center forecast cone. This is going to take us out a few days. This is only going to go out about 5 days here. You're not going to get a lot of information beyond that because, and I'll show you why, but you do get kind of in the land of voodoo a little bit where a lot of scenarios can take place. But as of right now, if it holds that track, southern edge in that cone of uncertainty would put, say, Puerto Rico, parts of the Lesser Antilles in jeopardy. Again, on the southern end of this. On the northern end, if it goes central or northern, it's just basically out to sea. Very wide open water, all right? Per this update, if you can see, I know it's kind of small, I'll zoom in, but this, at the very end of the track, does have this as a Category 3 storm, estimating winds at 115 and gusts 138 by the end of this forecast track. All right, so definitely feel confident about how this will intensify. Probably becomes a hurricane, and it would be the first hurricane of the Atlantic season coming up here. With probably within the next 24 hours or so. This is just a forecast model and showing you the trends of how this may strengthen and where we're headed here. Many of them are going at least to a Category 2. There's quite a few that are going Category 3 and still kind of going on an upward trend. All right, and this is only taking us out 168 hours or so. So, again, could see this intensify because it's really not going to run into a whole lot here. So likely going to become a major hurricane classified as a Category 3 storm. Some of the spaghetti plots, if you want to go a little bit longer range, okay, do have this kind of making more of a hard turn to the north as we go into the latter portion of this week and into the weekend. Okay, now there are a few that actually keep going west. All right, it is staying in that northern end of that forecast cone, and then many taking that turn north, but there are a few that continue on to the west. So something we'll have to monitor. And then one other thing, and we showed this yesterday, these are ensembles, right? And so if you didn't watch yesterday's update here, basically an ensemble is many models then just put into one. And so let me back it up to where we are right now. This is the European AI version, okay? And going through, this is through Wednesday and Thursday. Now you start to see these little blips here, okay? I'm using my mouse pointer there. These are some of the different runs, and now you're starting to see separation on where this is going, right? And so definitely some big uncertainty once we get to, this would be Monday of next week, Monday morning. There are several scenarios where it's kind of hugging Cuba, all right? And if you go deeper into the forecast here, this would be Tuesday. There's a couple that kind of brush Florida, but the vast majority are well out to sea. So there is quite a spread of where this exactly is going to go. And so again, if this were to have any impact to the United States, it is over a week away. So it's silly to kind of speculate this far out, but it's noteworthy because we are now in the heart of hurricane season and the Atlantic waters are already kind of active. We've had Dexter. Dexter stayed out to sea. Now we've got Erin, and we're likely going to see more formation as we kind of go along. We're at the kind of the prime time for tropical development. And something that we'll have to monitor very closely. But again, if you are living along the Atlantic coast, anywhere, north to south, be aware of this forecast, but don't let it scare you here. You still have some time to kind of see how this is going to play out. I'd say by later on into the week, we're going to have a much better understanding about how Erin is going to evolve, both as the strength of the storm and exactly where it's likely going to track. Meanwhile, across the United States, severe weather, not a tremendous issue here. We do have some low-end threats for some gusty winds, possibly in North Dakota and Minnesota. That's a marginal risk. And there is also a threat for maybe some stronger storms from New Mexico to northern Texas through central Oklahoma. There's already been many storms that have been firing through the early morning hours. We may see more waves kind of evolving as we go through the day on Monday. That threat then, very, very small area of eastern Wisconsin, kind of stretching over Lake Michigan into central and eastern UP of Michigan. And again, that's going to be for a damaging wind threat for storms on Tuesday. Probably a bigger threat will be heavy rain and flooding. These are your flooding risks here for the day on Monday. Central Oklahoma with a threat for some pretty heavy rain. And these are areas that are already overly saturated. May see a little bit more there. And then also along the coastal Carolinas region and the panhandle of Florida. There's been some very heavy rain over the last day to couple of days. And so flash flooding is possible. It's a slight risk in those areas of yellow. Really, the big headline is going to be the intense heat building back. There's not much relief. And this is really going to be for much of the lower 48. There is a little trough by Tuesday and Wednesday. If you notice this little dip here in the upper levels, this could provide some rain chances for parts of the Midwest, and it brings just a little bit of a cool down. I mean, we're talking ticking down maybe 3 or 4 degrees across much of the Midwest, and then eventually the New England states as this trough moves through. But really what you want to note is while that trough kind of flattens the heat dome that has been just hovering across much of the southern half of the country, it's only brief. And you can start to see this pattern amp back up by Friday and into the weekend. This hot dome of air centered over the Gulf fills in across the Midwest and East Coast. The eastern half of the country will be baking with numbers into the 90s again and dew points into the 70s. So feels like temperatures are going to be around 100. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. This is through Sunday. You can see that heat dome still kind of hangs out. It then kind of centers itself back to the west and retreats to the Four Corners region. But I think you're still on the outside edge in the Midwest. You may get a little bit of relief in New England by the middle of next week, but we're easily going to be probably into the upper 80s, so above average temperatures coming our way here, not only for much of this week here, the weekend, but probably the first half of the week for many locations across the United States. Here's just an example looking at some of these temperatures, high temperatures for the day. Look how many 80s and 90s there are across much of the country. I mean, you have to go even up and around New England. There's parts of Vermont and New Hampshire, Boston coming in at around 94. That matches close to what they'll see in Indianapolis at 91. Actually, a little bit cooler thanks to rain along the Gulf Coast. Around Tallahassee, it's at 83. Birmingham, Alabama is at 87, but pretty intense heat, obviously highlighted by some of this desert Southwest hot air, which actually is an improvement. Phoenix checked in at around 120, 120 last week. Not much better going into the day on Tuesday. Lots of 80s and 90s. And the problem with this is your overnight lows are only into the 70s. So vegetation just doesn't really catch much of a break. Maybe a little bit of a reprieve from the high heat in the upper Great Lakes here, thanks to that trough on Wednesday, 70s and 80s, but it will still be pretty muggy. Same thing as we go into your Thursday. But again, by late week, we're back to 90s across much of the Midwest. You're pushing close to 100 in the Central High Plains. And by the weekend, or this would be for Saturday, you've got 90s back in order here across the Midwest all the way into New England, and mid and upper 90s. That's going to continue through Sunday. Some pretty intense heat. So very, very steamy conditions rolling through as we head into the next several days. Lastly, I just wanted to kind of reemphasize the point that we are going to be running hot, and it's not just through this weekend or early next week. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook, which would take us basically to almost the end of August. And almost the entire country has pretty good odds, some better than others, especially out toward the Rockies, obviously, right? With the darker orange color there. But the entire country, with the exception of little portion of the Pacific Northwest and Maine, that you're talking above average temperatures, a very good probability of above average temperatures. So it's a good bet that many that are watching this in the lower 48, you're going to be running warm, if not hot, here for the remainder of the month of August. Thank you for following along with this forecast. We'll keep you updated on any new tropical developments and the forecast across the United States here over the coming days. Always appreciate a like and a subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. God bless.